Good morning, Monica.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much for having me on this Facebook Live. So excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking time to come talk with me about your book, which is a really good book. I don't know if you can see it.
Is it this
Yeah.
book?
Yo, yes, that's the one. So, Monica, what inspired you to write this book?
Well, to tell you the truth, I do have to admit this
Mm-hmm.
book originally started as a challenge. So I think everyone always has a book in them, and you always want
Mm-hmm.
to share your experiences. As a real estate investor, I was really kind of in that point where I was going through my journey and I didn't feel myself positioning. I didn't want to write, I always wanted to share my experiences, but I didn't want to do it as a how to book as an
Mm-hmm.
expert, as I feel we are always learning from our experiences and we're always going on this journey.
Yeah.
And we had a business coach we were working with who actually had a new program out saying how to write your book in 3 weeks. And he
Mm-hmm.
created a model where you could write a book in 3 weeks. So as a student, I said, well, I would love to share my experiences.
Mm-hmm.
If you could teach people to write a book in 3 weeks, why don't I be your guinea pig? But
Mm-hmm.
I need 3 months because I have four
Yeah.
kids, this
Yeah.
busy real estate business, but let me try to be your model. So
Yeah.
that originally gave me the push
Mm-hmm.
for how to get that story in me
Mm-hmm.
out to really try to help people. But when I was thinking about, okay, so now I promised our coach I'm going to do this. What am I going to write about? I really didn't want another how-to book or, coming in from that expert perspective because I'm still
Mm-hmm.
learning. And so I really thought, you know what? Why don't I share an authentic novel about the mistakes that Vaughn and I went through on
Mm-hmm.
our investment journey? And we did end up writing it very, very quickly. It's
Mm-hmm.
a very authentic, from the heart, tell all book, making it
Yeah.
a very, very easy read,
Yeah.
which is fantastic because a lot of people don't have time to read, lengthy novels. So I'm not sure how long it took you to read it. Uh,
Yeah, I'm still reading it, but so far I really love what I'm reading.
oh, amazing, amazing. Because
Yeah.
it's not designed to come off
Mhm.
from that expert position and I know everything and you should learn from me. It's really
Mhm.
more designed to touch your heart and
Mhm.
resonate with you on that personal level as an
Mhm.
investor going, oh my gosh, thank God I'm not alone.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's a really good book. And what was one of your biggest challenge when you first jumped into real estate investing?
Well, I think the biggest challenge really is
Mhm.
it all starts with that first chapter, chapter one, the
Mhm.
one that got away. And
Oh yeah,
that
the 1 million property.
$1 million mistake, like 24 years old, we could have been set for life. And I think it really is overcoming that fear.
Yeah.
And that really, really kind of hurt us and stopped us for several, several years
Mhm.
until we had the courage to pick up and really go on our own and start trying to invest in real estate again. So I think overcoming fear really
Mhm.
was that huge, huge obstacle at the beginning of our investment journey.
Hmm. But in that chapter, I still thinking about how we always listen to our family who never did that, and we listen to them.
I know.
You were ready to buy this property, but your family said no, don't do it, and they didn't know anything about that
They
property.
don't know anything about it. And it's like that crabs in the bucket mentality. I don't think your family is doing it because they don't want you to do well. I think they're doing it because they love you and they're
Yeah,
scared for you. And so they
exactly.
don't want to see you fail. But in order to make
Yeah,
progress in this world, you really need to fail because failing is learning as well. People are so
exactly.
scared
Yeah.
they're going to make a mistake.
Mm. Yeah.
And, learning is doing. And the only way to get forward really is to make mistakes. And when we
Yeah.
parent our kids, I often think of that lady who owns the Spanx company.
Mhm.
And her family used to gather around the dinner table every night. I think her name is Sarah Billingham or something. Sorry, I'm
Mhm.
so bad with names, but she owns Spanx. You know, the Spanx that we use to look really skinny.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And they sit around the table every night, and her father used to ask her growing up, so how many times did you fail today?
Oh.
And I think it's really like important to acknowledge our failures as progress, not fear.
Yeah.
And, you know, fear often, the acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
So when we actually took the second stage of our investment journey, we actually went out there and bought properties. I made a point of not telling my family we were doing it. We didn't tell anyone we knew what we were doing with real estate, because we remembered that first mistake we made by sharing our ambitions with people that just didn't see the benefits, and that stopped us. We were determined not to be stopped again.
Yeah, it's because we like to be in a comfortable zone, in a comfort. We're afraid. So the family, when your family tells you not to do it, because they want you to stay safe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not just your family, it's people at work, and it's, you know, your closest friends and everyone. If they don't share that same mindset, then, you know, it's likely that they're going to plant these seeds of doubt. So this is why it's really important that people go to your cash flow night and your groups and different groups, because sometimes you have to remove yourself from your immediate settings. I mean, we spend most of our day at work, and then with our family or with your close friends that you kind of grew up with, this close circle of friends. And chances of that they are doing what you're doing at this point are very, very slim. So you are the 5 people you want to be around. I mean, sorry, you are the 5 people closest to you that you are around. So if you look around, kind of look, who do I spend most of my time with? Then, and is this someone that I'm going to be like? Do I want to do exactly what they're doing? If they're not, you really have to find, I'm not saying cut off your family and friends, love them, see them for what they are, but also see really for what it is that you want to achieve. And from that point, you know, try to seek out those people. Who is doing what I want to be doing? And how can I make a point of being around these people more often and learn from them? And that will keep you in that positive mindset for sure.
Yeah, that's why I started this cash flow game, because cash flow game help you to practice in a game. Then you can know exactly in real life, instead of making that mistake in real life, do it in a game. You can
absolutely.
And
it's interesting to see people play the cash flow game too, because even though it's just a game, people are still really scared to make mistakes. And it's only a board game. It doesn't even, it's paper money. It doesn't even matter, but they're still so scared to make that mistake.
It makes a huge difference. You could see when the one person get out of that race. Oh wow, he celebrated. Oh, he's so happy. Imagine if it was real life.
Oh yes, and that's what we do at Real Property Investments is we make people. We are dedicated to getting people out of the rat race and making people live their best life. And you know, because in order to do something different, you have, like, in order to get a different outcome, you have to take different actions. People cannot do the same thing and expect a different result.
Exactly.
So when we wrote the book too, we wanted people to kind of know you're not alone. It's okay to make mistakes. You're not alone. But we also believe that hindsight is 20/20. So in each chapter, we complete it as hindsight is 20/20. And this gives you that advice as someone who's been there and done that. And these little small changes and tips can help investors like yourself not do these silly mistakes and go, wow, I remember reading in a book that Monica and Vaughn used a mortgage agent just from their local neighborhood without doing their research properly. And it almost cost them into a lawsuit because they couldn't even close on the first property almost, you know. That must have been terrifying. I don't want to get in that. So we really did, it is an authentic tale, a tell-all, but it does have those hindsight 20/20 at the end of each chapter. And it also comes with a very thick appendix of how people, and I always advise people, you know, whether they're doing a flip or a rent to own or different buy, rent, hold, or they're trying to build their real estate team, how can they use this appendix in the back of the book to really kind of help guide them through their real estate journey. So I didn't want to come off as this expert standpoint, like we're so smart, you know, we know everything. But I just want people to really know we've been there, we've done that, we've done thousands of transactions. We have been incredibly successful in real estate despite all these mistakes, because it was a lot of hard work. But we did figure out it's brought freedom to our family, and now our goal really is to share our tales and help bring freedom to other people and other people's families, for sure.
Yes, thank you. And in your chapter 4, you talk about education overload. Can you explain a little bit more for the audience?
Well, I'm assuming that you're probably a Robert Kiyosaki fan because you're playing the cash flow game. And I love Robert Kiyosaki. I remember this one day I met him at this event, like 6 or 7 years ago, and I shook his hand. I was just so starstruck because his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, totally changed our life. It just totally changed our life. You know, before we were doing financial planning the traditional way, and we were not getting forward. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, so I was forfeiting a rather large salary to achieve this. My husband was making good money, but we live in Markham, and you know, we weren't all on this budget sort of thing. We wanted to make more money rather than, you know, live on less money. And we were getting by day to day, but we needed to make this extra income. And we were looking at the way that we were doing things. We were not getting ahead at all. You know, not for retirement, not for funding our kids' university. And so when we read Rich Dad Poor Dad, all of a sudden we realized how real estate is such a great wealth builder and wealth building tool. And I read all his books and I realized, you know, I want to invest in real estate. And this led to our buying 3 properties out of the gate initially. And then afterwards we got to that point. We worked past the fear. We got the properties, and then we looked at each other and said, now what? You know, now what do we do? And so then all of a sudden our newspaper came this ad that Robert was speaking at this free event, you know, so like, oh my gosh, well, it didn't say Robert was speaking at the free event, but I chose to believe it was Robert, really some other guy at a hotel room selling this 3-day course, which we went and we got the 3-day course. And then from that point, we ended up buying a huge amount of the Rich Dad education training. And we learned all these supersonic skills, but it was a $100,000 investment, which is a huge amount of money, but it taught us so many different skills. And now this was back in the day, this is like going on almost 9 years ago, where there weren't these different education strategies. This was it. We invested in it, and we kind of did too much too soon. So it works, but it doesn't work at the same time. It works if you're willing to do the work, but you also have to be in the field, and a lot went wrong. And in this book, a lot of stuff went wrong from doing too much too soon. We did every strategy under the sun. We did over 100 transactions our first year, but it was us in the field tweaking it that made us so successful, because we've been there, we've done that. We did over 100 strategies our first year of real estate investing. We made $1 million of mistakes. But at the same time, those same strategies helped us pay $1 million of debt off. So does it work? Yes, but you have to do the work, and you have to know your stuff. You have to be with it, savvy. And not all the advice given is necessarily required to be successful in real estate. If I can now look back after having the training, yes, training is essential, but do we need $100,000 training? Do we need $50,000 mentorships? Do we need 3-day trainings? You know, where was my coach when everything was going wrong with our new builds? With our development projects? Nowhere. So I really think what the coaching industry is lacking is it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And people are spending so much money on these cookie cutter pieces of advice that's given in 3-day trainings where they could be using that money for deposit for real estate. Because anything you're charging on credit card and debt that you don't have a plan to pay off immediately, it's not going to work. Now, some people say, yeah, sure, I went and I paid off my training immediately, you know, but when you have things paid on credit card, you know, in this type of salary or in these types of figures, it can be difficult. And when you're doing too much too soon, you lose track. It's overwhelming. And when you are in real estate, you will be making mistakes. So when we came back, now we are offering consulting. Obviously, we do that a totally different approach. We offer a lower end consulting in regards to price point, so people can get that ongoing support they need. I think what's missing is the personalized training programs, because everyone's different.
Yeah.
and with that ongoing that they can afford, and you guys can use your money for real estate, not for expensive courses. So when people pay $100,000 like we did, we were on to be prize pupils. So if we were doing a course on rent to own, we were actively renting to own. And then we did a flip, and we would be actively looking at flips, wholesaling, same.
Yeah.
And you know, when you're doing everything everywhere, it really is, it can lead to be a problem. And I really am a strong advocate towards focus, for sure. So when real estate's exciting, we often see something's going wrong. Your real estate portfolio should be very, very boring, and people should really focus on what they're doing in regards to their strategy, in regards to why they're doing it, and in regards to the specific model that they're following.
Thank you. And now, what is the one big takeaway people will get from reading this book? What would you like people, if it was only one thing?
I want to help, if I can, and I said this at the very start, and I think it's even written in the book, if we can help one person avoid any of these mistakes that we went through, you are guaranteed to save thousands of dollars, as well as many, many years of your time. I think your most valuable asset's time. And that's what this book was written for, not to come off as some know-it-all, or we have too many of those in this industry. It's just to help people avoid these very, very common mistakes that are made in real estate investing. I honestly believe where there's one question, there's 100 questions. And, you know, so if we can help one person avoid these mistakes, then we have done our good service and our job. Now, fortunately, I know that's achieved because we have a lot of reviews saying, wow, you know, I was there. So it's not just, I think we have there's about 10 chapters in the book. We cover all different types of common mistakes, anywhere from finding your focus, overcoming your fear, but also more practical things like home inspections, building your real estate team, how mortgaging your properties and doing it the right way, choosing that right education. And then we get more into those strategies, development, wholesaling, flips, buy rent holds. All of these is just filled with advice. I think most chapters have lessons upon lessons upon lessons. And I'd be very surprised if at least one of those lessons doesn't resonate with the reader when they're reading this book.
And where can people, if they want to buy it, where can they find the book?
The book is for sale on Amazon. And there's the Kindle edition as well as the hard copy edition.
Nice. On Amazon.
On Amazon, yes.
All right.
Yes.
Monica, thank you so much. First of all, thank you for writing this book. And thank you for taking time to talk with me. And thank you for helping the people, especially new people who want to jump in real estate. I think everybody should read this book, especially if you're a beginner or even intermediate. This book will help you. Thank you so much, Monica.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Hope you enjoy the rest of the book.
All right, I will. Thank you. And the lucky person who will come at the cash flow game, we have a chance to get this book. Thank you so much, Monica.
Thank you so much. Good luck to the lucky winner.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too.